All right, I'm cranky, people. Let's do this. Here's where I have intro music. I don't have any intro music because I'm lazy. Also, whenever other people have intro music, I just skip over it anyways. So pretend you skipped over my intro music. And now we're at the review section of this video. Comic book review weekly. September, what day is this? 15. Oh, like crap, time's flying. I got a birthday in a week. I'm goddamn old, people. Anyways, worst to best. This week's comics, 2021. I'm cranky. Like I said, let's do this. All right. This book made the bottom of the list. Rorschach number 12. This is the end of the Rorschach mess. Okay. Here's the thing. It's probably not horrible. Maybe. I love the cover. It's one of my favorite covers of the week. It's got a spot varnish on it. It's Rorschach has a door. It's kind of clever. I liked Jorge Fornes' art. I like Dave Stewart's coloring. I want to punch Tom King in the skull for this crap. 12 issues for a telegraph, like the ending. This is the ending. This is the grand finale of lots of talkiness. The last 4 issues have been talkiness. This should have been like a 5-issue series, maybe. Also, it should have had a more clever ending. You could see this ending coming a mile away. And it's just... Tom King broke me. This is it. I'm done. I'm not going to buy any more single-issue Tom King maxi series issue books, whatever the hell. You get it. I'm done. I'll wait. I'll buy them. I'll read them collected. I'll review them on my Tuesday review show and tear them apart there, but no more single issues for me. I can't do it. I can't. It's just too frustrating. The pacing on this was glacially slow throughout this whole thing. And it had some high moments in the middle where I was like, oh, yeah, this is going to be good. And then it royally crapped the bed. All right. Let's do it this way. All right. This one... I don't know why I'm still reading this one either. I do. Here's the thing. You get to this point with miniseries. This is Fight Girls number 3 of 5. It's Frank Cho and Sabine Rich. And you get to the point in these like 5-issue series where you like hit the point of no return. And that's kind of where I'm at with this. Now I'm committed. Now I have to see where this ends. And finally, you get a little bit of B-plot in this where they sort of explain or start to explain what's going on, but you still have no damn idea. And other than that, it's just American Gladiators with a bunch of hot women and weird alien dinosaur, fish and stuff. And it's entertaining enough. It is just about as light and fluffy as you can get, though. It's like the cotton candy of grotesque of comics. There's just nothing to this, like nothing. But I'm committed. I want to see how it ends. I want to see what the point of all this was, if there was a point. And there's 2 issues left, so... You're along for the ride, audience. You're stuck with me if you watch my vids. Or you just... fast forward whenever you see that book come up. Probably safer for everybody involved. Also, fair warning, this week, a lot of these are pretty close. Like, when I rank them, it's just a gut thing. And, like, we're at the frustrating level right now. So... Nobody's Child number 1, Rosie and Bolarali. It's a Behemoth Comics. It's a very interesting idea in this book. I don't want to spoil a lot, but it's like the last white rhinoceros on the earth and a man who's protecting it. And sorry, allergies are killing me this week too. So, yeah, let's do that right in the mic. I could edit that out, but I'm not going to, people, because allergies. Behemoth. Nobody's Child. Number 1. Interesting ideas. Last rhino on Earth, man protecting it, people after it for reasons. The reasons get spoiled real early in this issue. Like page 1, in the exposition dump of this page 1. It's intriguing enough. It's just kind of... There's something lost in the execution. The art's maybe a little clunky and not super dynamic. And I don't know. It just didn't hold my interest throughout the whole thing. It started with an interesting idea and just kind of... flat throughout. So, there you have it. Darth Vader number, whatever the hell this is, 16. This is part 4,000 of the stupid-ass Darth Vader, or War of the Bounty Hunter series. Sorry, I just got a text, too. This is rookie hour for me, people. Rookie hour. I'm not editing that out either. You know why? Because deal with it. Anyways, I'm annoyed. This whole dumb-ass event should not be an event. It is so goddamn stupid. This War of the Bounty Hunters. Oh, yep, it's what happens with the Carbonite of Han Solo, and they made it into a 40-issue stupid-ass thing where you know the middle, you know the beginning, you know the end, and this journey along the way is boring, ridiculous, and dumb, and it's getting shoehorned into this somewhat interesting title of Darth Vader, and it's a somewhat interesting title. It is not fantastic, but I dropped the rest of the Star Wars books, and this was the last one. It's hanging on by a bare thread, and it's still hanging on by just a smidgen of a thread because I like the character of Darth Vader. And I like Ochi of Bestoon, this character that's in here, but it's just a... Stop it! All right, Kang the Conqueror number 2. Oh, we're in for a lot of Kang in the next couple of years, people. It's going to be Kang-centric. Remember, how there was like the Thanos and then the Infinity, all that junk for the last 5-10 years? It's going to be Kang for the next billion years, and this is the newly reformed Kang back in time something. Honestly, here's the thing. I read this 2 hours ago. I don't remember this. I think there's a first appearance in here probably, but it's just, it's nothing about this is clearly memorable. I just honestly, I blank on what, and I blanked on the whole thing. I got no idea what's in here, none. So I'm not going to reread it. I'm not going to edit. I'm not pausing. I'm barreling through. Justice League Last Ride number 5. I don't know if I can make it to the end of this one either. I like Zdarsky. It's Chip Zdarsky writing this. I like the Justice League well enough. I like the premise well enough. It's just it's been boring thus far. The Justice League has to protect Lobo. For one last mission, Martian Manhunter got killed because of Batman, and they're all like having family drama now. And the problem is the family drama is not that interesting. You know what's going on now, and you know what Superman and Batman are mad at each other. And the other real problem is the main plot's not that interesting either. Like I really enjoy Zdarsky, but this is just boring. It's boring the shit out of me. So we'll see. That might be the last of that one. Because, I know I commit to the point. We're not quite at that breaking point for me. I think that's 12 issues long, and I don't know if I have 12 issues in me. I might trade paperback when it's all said and done. Time Before Time. This is one I keep meaning to cancel, and it just keeps setting up my pull list because I keep forgetting to cancel it. It's fine. We're at the fine section now, people. We're fine. It's a time travel shenanigans mob and hitmen and stuff, and this wraps up the first arc, and it does it fairly well, but it's just not, again, there's nothing crazy memorable about this, and there's nothing, like, when you take a time travel book and you make it kind of boring, it's just kind of like, how the hell did you manage that one? And that's sort of what's going on here, and I don't mean to be just a cranky asshole this entire video, but it's just, it bored me. It's not awful. It does wrap up the first arc rather well. There's a little bit of surprises coming up, so if you're invested in this book, this will probably keep you invested and probably keep you want to going. It's just kind of, after issue 1, my interest level waned, and like it stayed waned, and I've not had anything that really hooked me back in, and this is included with this one, so it's just not hooked. All right, this one is a decent idea. It's just, again, the execution on this. White number 1. I finally am reading it. It's the third print, so apparently it's cream. I don't know. It's not bad. It's a very interesting idea. Like in this world, like a small percentage of the black population gets superpowers, and that's it. White people don't get it, and it has the potential to really deal with racism, I think, in a pretty interesting way, and like the culture of this country in a pretty interesting way. Instead, what it's sort of done is turn this into kind of what seems like, after this first issue, like a spin on a traditional superhero book. And there's a little bit more to it than that, but it's not. It's focusing on like plots and capers and like technology and Iron Man-y stuff, instead of focusing on what I think could be a lot more interesting, which is like the underlying themes that could be presented here in a pretty, I think, insightful way. It's just kind of like, instead of the insightful path, they just took a plot-oriented path, and it's not bad. It's fine. It's just, it's not what I expected. And I kind of think what I expected would have been more interesting. All right, Scumbag number 10. This is just Rick Remender. Like, Scumbag is like the worst human on the planet, except for he's really kind of not. Except for he kind of is, but he's, whatever. And then the shenanigans. There's base on the moon, and he turned everyone in the planet into scumbags, and it's an entertaining romp, and it's also just Rick Remender like venting about social issues. He's like thumbing off, flicking the middle finger at the left, at the right, at the middle, at social media, and everything. And it's enjoyable enough that I keep reading. There's nothing grandiose about this. There's nothing that's gonna like be earth shattering. But if you just kind of want like some kind of like, I know I say fluffy a lot, but that's kind of what this is. It's like a fluffy, fun book. I did not love the Bergera's art on this one though. I like the cover a lot. It's just the artist on every issue of this has been different, and this one I thought was. I like the style of the art. I like the sketchiness. I like the it sort of reminds me of Jeff Lemire a bit, but I just didn't like the execution. There were some panels near where I was like just downright confused, and I don't know. I just don't like to be confused by artwork. I think comic books should be a cohesive storytelling first, and then grandiose art second. I think idea in a perfect world it all meshes, but like first tell the story clearly. Speaking of which, there's a couple panels in this one too. Seven Secrets number 12. This is another one I was very close to dropping, and I like Tom Taylor, but I was just real close to dropping this one because it just kind of like had lost my interest, and it kind of picked it back up in this one. This is the issue where like allegiances shift and you learn something new and a reveal at the end. I mean, it's a little tropey in that regard, but it's also Tom Taylor flipping flipping off the right, flipping off the left. They're flipping off the there's a theme in this chunk of these reviews. Like this is one of those where it's like one of his points is like not everybody that and the Scumbag point too. It's like not everybody needs to have their opinion heard by the world. It's like just because some jackass read a comic every week doesn't mean you should make a YouTube video and share it with the world, and the world has to give a shit what he thinks because that's just stupid. Oh, see what I did there? Meta people. Meta. This is one of the better issues. There's a reveal at the end that was exciting and changes up the status quo because that's what you got to do. You got to change up the status quo. The art, there's a few panels in there where it is just kind of confusing, but it's more like manga influenced and anime influenced and stuff than I'm used to, and so not that it's a bad thing. It's just kind of I enjoy it in a lot of ways, but there are just a couple panels in there that lost me. The Joker number whatever the hell this is, number 7. This is another one that had sort of lost me, and it kind of picked me back up with this one. It's not a Joker book. It's Jim Gordon. Joker's not in this damn book at all. It's a but you call it Jim Gordon, and no one's going to buy it. There's a backup story with Punchline that who the hell cares? It's not a good. It's a boring Punchline story about a boring character. Maybe that's the Punchline. Is like kind of keeps the Punchline of the big Tynan jokes that he gets people to keep reading about Punchline. And the Joker, it's fine. It's allegiances shift, and the Gordon's in trouble, and he has to get himself out of trouble by talking himself out of trouble because he's a detective and he talks detective-y. And there's a big reveal at the end. I have cranky this week. It's not bad. I like the art. No, I didn't actually. Gilliam March, I normally like his art, but in this issue, it reminded me a lot of Brett Booth, and I really don't like Brett Booth. It reminded me of like the 80s, not like the 90s action stuff. The proportions were a little weird, and when there were action scenes, they were just kind of like clunkily done, and I didn't care for it. I like the cover. I like this depiction of the Joker, and I like this depiction of the stuff, but it just seemed kind of sloppy and rushed, and like I didn't care for the art in this one. All right, a book that surprised me, and I picked it up honestly. Well, I want the 1 in 100, but I can't afford it because it's a $10 book, and a 1 in 100 copy of a $10 book would be outrageous. But it has a cool Kirby cover. Fantastic Four number 35, 60 years of Fantastic Four. There's a backup story that, because it's 60 years, retells the origin story for like the 9 billionth time. Who cares? And another like 2-page backup story that I forgot. I don't know what it's about. The main story stars Kang. Because it's Kang time. Kang, yeah. Kangum style. Anyways, but Dan Slott, who has bugged me in the past, but like this was a pretty enjoyable Fantastic Four story. He used Kang as a sort of and the time travel as a way to like go back in time and touch on various iterations of the Fantastic Four, various characters, versions of it throughout the history. And not the craziest, most clever thing. I did like the twist at the end. And it was just a solid. He's got Dan Slott actually, I think, does have a pretty solid handle on the Fantastic Four, the dynamics that make up the family unit that is them, and that kind of differentiates them from every other sort of superhero thing. Now, it's not enough that I'm going to pick this up regularly. I mean, honestly, there's a first appearance in here that probably won't go anywhere, but I just picked it up kind of for that. There's a fake first appearance in here that might go somewhere. Maybe. And it's John Romita Jr. on the artwork. He's thankfully John Romita Jr. has toned down some of his John Romita Jr.-isms, junioritis, junior, whatever the hell. He's not quite as blocky as he was for a couple of years in there. He's toned some of this down, but you can still tell it's him. His face, the faces especially. You're like, oh, yep, that's JR doing JR stuff. So, but I was pleasantly surprised by this. Fine plus. All right, speaking of a book that pleasantly surprised me, but this one's not going to be for everyone. Maw number 1. It's a disturbing book. I don't think the solicits do it quite justice because it make it sound like it's a feminist treaty on things. I think it's more of a human thing. I mean, it definitely deals with like feminist issues and stuff. And there's sexual assault and rape that takes place in here, and it's pretty disturbing. I think it's going to lead somewhere interesting. It was surprisingly well paced, and surprisingly the structure of the story and the grand plot of it all is fairly interesting. I think this is a first time comic writer. Judith Elson S. Doyle, and it didn't really feel like that to me. It felt like somebody that had written comics for a while and had a handle on them. So maybe it's not the first issue. A.L. Kaplan's art reminds me kind of the whatever the artist on Something's Killed the Children. There's some similarities. It's Boom Studios. Boom tends to they're starting to get an art style, and it fits the art style. The cover I think is gorgeous, and I'm going to keep this one up. It's not quite the book of the week for me, but it's a decent read. It might disturb you, and it might not be for everybody. And if you've horribly been affected by sexual assault and stuff, you might. They're just trigger warnings on this one. So that's all I'm gonna say. All right. Beyond the Breach number 3, this is a weird ass book. I mean, it really is. Ed Brisson and Damian Cuchero. The first book started as an angry ex got dumped, and then weird stuff happened with the incursion into the world, and it kind of has dropped the angry ex thing. They don't touch on that at all. Now it's just weird, trippy 70s sci-fi stuff, and it's it's not necessarily a breath of fresh air, but it is kind of I am along for the weirdness on this one. I don't know why. It's probably going to be a lot lower on other people's list, but the weird helmeted sword guy and a giant bat thing and being hunted down by space rifles and an angry ex and a kid it's a weird combo. It kind of reminds me of this is kind of what I wish crossover would have been. Except for crossover has been Donny Cates stall to get out, and it deals with superheroes, but this feels a little more crossover-y, even though there's not really crossover. It's just kind of whatever. Read the book. It's not bad. All right, James Tynion wraps up his second story arc of Wind here. And this is a solid sort of wrap-up. The first, you can sort of tell the first wrap-up you thought they were done with the series, and then it's sort of Tynion's oh no, I can get more money out of this. More story out of this. He has more stories to tell people, not more money. Who's motivated by money? If you're motivated by money, you would quit and just go to Substack. Yeah. I like this. It's Michael Dialis. Sorry. Michael, the artwork. Great. A little bit cartoony, simple, easy to follow. Nice panel progressions. There's character changes in here. There's things that are wrapped up. There's character growth in here. There's the plot progresses. It was kind of stuck in the weeds for an issue in there, but you're out of the weeds now. There's it sets up the next arc nicely. And it's a nice thick boy of a book. I mean, you get extra pages in here. You kind of sort of need it. I mean, the art's got some room to breathe in here. So it's not crammed, and it's also not anywhere near as verbose as Tynion's. A lot of Tynion's stuff gets kind of wordy. This is not overly wordy, and I'm enjoying Wind. I also really like that cover. All right, we're getting there. We're almost through this, people. Red Room number 4, Murder on the Dark Web for Fun and Profit. I like this cover quite a bit, too. This is probably not necessarily my least favorite of this. But this is the issue that probably I had the most issues with. The art and the lettering, especially in this one, felt shrunken. It felt like Ed Pisker's been working on a larger page and shrunk it down. And I think the type especially got too shrunk, and there's a lot of type in this one. It's the wordiest of the bunch by far. And there's a framing device that he uses that I get because of the cover. I don't think it was necessary. I don't think it added to the story. I think it actually kind of subtracted from it a bit. You are sort of learning that he's putting together these bits and pieces of a puzzle that might eventually come together, but they are all standalone issues too, and it does stand alone. And this is a torture porn and gory and sort of yeah, it's not going to be for everyone. It's gross and gory and beautifully gory. But yeah, it's just my least favorite of the bunch, but it still leaps and bounds above a lot of the other books, if that makes sense. All right, we got two left. Either of these probably could have been my book of the week, my favorite book, and I know this next one's going to be on a lot of people's list, but I'm going to give the nod to the other one by a slight amount, and I'll tell you why in a second here. Primordial number one is my second favorite book of the week. I like this cover again quite a bit. This is Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino with Dave Stewart on colors. Dave Stewart's colors are just masterful in everything he touches. He's a master at it. There's some like really weird color choices here, but they really work. and Andrea Sorrentino's got this gloomy, gritty art. He was the artist on Gideon Falls with Jeff Lemire as well. And this is like the monkeys that went to space in the 50s, and it's like a what if the monkeys things changed. The thing is, I love Lemire's writing, and I will buy anything that Lemire writes with this book. It's just like, if you've read a few of his books lately, this is pulling a Lemire. You go 20, I don't know, I didn't do the page count, but you go like throughout the whole book, and then there's a big thing at the last 2 pages. And he's used this. I mean, I know that's a comic book trope, and a storytelling device. It's like, oh, you have to pull the wool away, pull the wool off the eyes, or unblindfold, or yeah. Words are hard, people. You do that all at the end, and then it hooks people for the next issue. And I'm hooked, but it's also like you see it often enough from him. You're like, okay, like I get it. You're doing that again. And if you've read the previews on this, it's not a giant leap as to what's happening. And if you've like actually read this issue, it's not even that giant of a reveal. That said, it's solid, well told, gorgeous, and I'm along for it. It's about a 5-issue mini, so pick it up. And my book of the week, again, not going to be for everybody, but I really enjoyed this one. Campisi number 2. This is the first book I read. The Dragon Incident. Campisi, the Dragon Incident number 2, which leads me to believe that there might be more Campisi coming, and I'd be game for it. It's this is like a neighborhood in New York that does have fantasy elements, apparently, but a dragon attacks this neighborhood for reasons, and this mob fixer has to deal with it. And this is the first issue of dealing with it. And it's like, the art by Marco Licati is not going to be for everybody. It's pretty loose and scratchy. It reminds me of the Cinnamon Cat book that I didn't care for, just kind of like, and a fairly cartoony, or a little bit like a kaiju. That doesn't matter. I'm having brain farts all over today, folks. But the story's great, and I really like the Campisi character. He's a kind of ruthless. He does what he has to do, but he's not heartless, and he loves the neighborhood he grew up in. And he's like, to him, it's like, oh, a dragon is just one more thing to deal with in the neighborhood when he's working for the mob. And I like that approach to it, and I like the kind of matter of factness that he goes about trying to like fix the situation in the neighborhood. It's kind of delightful. So my favorite book of this week. It's Aftershock Comics, number 2. You can probably pick up number 1. I don't think a lot of people are specking on this. I don't think it's really high on anyone's radar. But if you like, and the nice thing about Aftershock, they do things in 5-issue chunks, so you're not going to be along for. It's not going to be a huge commitment, but I'm interested to see where this goes. And you kind of side with the dragon, but you also kind of side with the fixer in this one. So it's like, yeah, it's a fun one. So all right, that's what I got. There's my stack. Probably missed some few things. I know there's about 8 billion Batman books came out. One with Batman Beyond on the cover. I just didn't get it. My LCS is out. And there's a few hours that I tried to get that I haven't been able to because I didn't pre-order because I'm a lazy son of a bitch. And I got to start pre-ordering, but also I'm going to try and get some preview copies going and some preview readings going so I don't have to read all these in one day. Thank you to Comic Burrito. Cole from Comic Burrito just hooked me up with like a list of like contacts where I can start getting a hold of these companies. And so we'll see. Which means I might do some digital reading, might not buy as many of these physical issues, but I might be able to get some of them ahead of time, which would make my life a little easier because reading all these in a day does take some effort. And I'm willing to put in the effort. I like reading. I like comics. That's why I'm doing this instead of the mystery box thing. I prefer reading comics than opening up boxes and going, oh, for everything. I mean, I'll do some of that too, but I'm that part of this channel is fading because my lust for the mystery boxes has faded. It's like I didn't get into comics to open mystery boxes. I got into comics because I like the stories. And I know it may not seem like it. I know this is kind of a long ending to this video. Like, and I know, and like I get cranky, but I'm cranky because I want every book to be great. And when they're not great, that's when I get cranky. So it's not that I hate all the comics. It's just that I want every comic to be fantastic, if that makes any kind of sense at all. So, all right, that's what I got. I'm out of here. Don't be a dick, even if a dragon attacks your burrow. Say ya.